and welcome to my thought for the day. As often, I was challenged by the reading options, none of which seemed to speak to this moment or current events, although some might see the current pandemic in Zephaniah's reading, which included, "In the fire of his jealousy, the whole earth will be consumed, for he will make a sudden end of all who live on the earth." Or I looked at the reading of Jesus' second prediction of his death in Matthew, which concluded with, "And the disciples were filled with grief." All quite challenging at this happier time of Advent. So I chose the final passage on offer, which I love with its humour and challenge to normal human order. Matthew 17, beginning at verse 24, NIV version. After Jesus and his disciples arrived at Capernaum, the collectors of the 2 drachma temple tax came to Peter and asked, "Doesn't your teacher pay the temple tax?" "Yes, he does," he replied. When Peter came into the house, Jesus was the first to speak. "What do you think, Simon?" he asked. "From whom do the kings of the earth collect duty and taxes? From their own children or from others?" "From others," Peter answered. "Then the children are exempt," Jesus said to him. "But so that we may not cause offence, go to the lake, throw out your line. Take the first fish you catch, open its mouth, and you will find a 4 drachma coin. Take it and give it to them for my tax and yours." I just love this story. It is rarely recounted, and many seem not to know it. It is so extraordinary that it is hard to believe, but that makes it more credible. Why else would Jesus have said that? Matthew, as a tax collector, was of course captured by this event, and he also recounts the other better-known interaction between Jesus and the taxes in Matthew 22. Here the Pharisees want to trap Jesus with the question as to whether it is right to pay the imperial tax to Caesar or not. And Jesus replies, "Give to Caesar what is Caesar's, and to God what is God's." What is the background to these accounts? In Jesus' day, Jews paid taxes both locally to the Jewish temple and to the pagan government in Rome. Though the Son of God, Jesus was the Son of Man, a child of the Jewish race, born under the law and subject to the law in accordance with the instruction given to Moses in the book of Exodus, whereby a tax was levied upon every male Jew above the age of 19 for the upkeep of temple services. Peter assures the tax collectors that Jesus is no tax dodger, and he clearly intends to bring the matter to his master's attention. Before Peter has time to raise this with Jesus, Jesus points out to him that in fact neither he nor Peter are under any moral obligation to pay the temple tax any longer. Earthly kings do not collect taxes and tolls from their own families. Therefore, the heavenly king does not tax his own children. They and we are now the temple in which the Father dwells. Consequently, the Jerusalem temple is superseded, but Jesus does not wish to cause difficulty to those who have not yet understood. He therefore agrees the tax should be paid by Peter on this occasion. Peter takes his command seriously. Jesus' aim was to avoid giving offence to the tax collectors, and yet not to provide easy money for paying the debt. So what do these passages in Matthew tell us? As Christians, our true citizenship is in God's kingdom, and we devote ourselves to God's purposes. But we give to earthly powers what is due. Paying tax is one of the bedrock obligations we as citizens undertake for the services we enjoy in a civilized society. These include the work of the emergency services, as well as the social nets in place to assure justice or aid for the poor, the aged, and others in need. The Roman Empire was not governed primarily for the benefit of the common people, yet even so, it provided roads, water, policing, and sometimes relief for the poor. We may not always agree on the type or extent of services our government should provide, but we know that our taxes are essential in providing for our personal protection and for the help of those who cannot help themselves. Even though not all of the government activity serves God's purposes, Jesus does not call us to flout the tax rules of the nations where we reside. Indeed, Paul says in Romans 13, "This is why you pay taxes, for the authorities are God's servants, who give their time, full time to governing. Give to everyone what you owe them. If you owe taxes, pay taxes. If revenue, then revenue. If respect, then respect. If honour, then honour." Of course, today there is no temple tax, and we make voluntary donations to support the work and services of God's church, both here and round the world. Then, at the least, to tithe our income remains. Jesus addresses the need to donate throughout the Gospels and does not exempt us from that. And why did Jesus ask Peter to get the coin from the fish's mouth? Who knows? Maybe just to make us notice or laugh. Amen.